Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Hoping you're all having a great Sunday. It's been rainy here today, heavy at times, and it seems to have stopped for now. Cloudy, but it's like 68 degrees, so it's not really hot, but it is humid. Well, that's kind of what we're getting here for today. And behind Home Depot, there's a big field of solar panels out there, which I guess it's connected to the power grid for the Bangor Mall area and all the surrounding stores around that. Friday, that solar panel field caught fire. For I don't know what reason it caught fire, but it did. And the whole area they had to shut the power off in order to put out the fire. So they went without power there for a while. It started around 5:30 in the evening, and they didn't get the power back for quite a while, I guess. But a lot of restaurants and everything had to shut down because they couldn't do anything. They had no power, right? So, but yeah, that happened. Like I said, I don't know what started the fire. I haven't checked the news to see any updates on that, but yeah, fire started out there. We didn't have any thunderstorms or anything like that, so I don't know what the hell caused it, you know. When I do find out, though, I think I'll let you guys know what happened and why it burned. Yeah, you know, it could be something because it's out in a field, and maybe, you know, grass or something might have caught fire somehow. I don't know. You know, the stores around here, the property that they own around the stores like Target, Walmart, stuff, it's always full of litter. So it could be that some homeless person was camped out back there, because they found homeless people camped out in the back lots of Home Depot over there in tents and stuff like that. So it could have been, you know, started by somebody out there in the back. Who knows? But like I said, until I know for sure, I'll let you know. But anyway, got a video here from Dollamore Daily, and he's going to be discussing something that's kind of interesting. So let's go to that, and then we'll talk about that on the other side.
With so many issues going on in the world, I'm a little bit surprised you would ask such a question, although I'm not. Sometimes coming from you, I will say.
Karoline Leavitt, look, I'm not sympathetic to her, but Karoline Leavitt on a daily basis, her job is getting more and more and more impossible. Not difficult, impossible. And it is glorious to watch. It is chef's kiss. It is so good to watch Karoline Leavitt struggle, to watch her do the 50-yard stare, the 100-yard stare, just staring off into space with whatever that sad song that plays when people make memes about it. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's like,
hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh.
I've come to talk.
And yesterday during the press briefing, there's two questions she was asked that I want to get into. One is this bizarre story that Donald Trump went off on a jag during his trip to Pennsylvania, telling just absolute fabricated lies about a conversation he had with his uncle about the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, being a former student. The problem lies in the fact that the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, didn't go to MIT where Donald Trump's uncle Dr. John Trump, Dr. Uncle John Dr. Trump, or whatever he refers to him as. Maybe I'll play that clip later. He's indicating that he talked to his uncle about the kind of student that he was, and that his uncle replied that he was such a good student, he used to correct other people, go around telling people how they were wrong, because in his mind, that's what a good student does, I guess, is just a know-it-all neckbeard. I don't know. Anyway, there was this moment where a reporter asks the question about it, and her answer is not an answer to the question. It's not an answer to the thing anybody wants to know, but it got the reporter off her back for 5 seconds. So watch this, and then we'll talk about it.
Andrew, go ahead.
So on Tuesday, the president told a very detailed story about his uncle, noted scientist John Trump, and Theodore Kaczynski, the late Unabomber. He said that Dr. Trump taught Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski was not identified as the Unabomber until 1996, 11 years after John Trump passed away. It would have been impossible for John Trump to have ever discussed the Unabomber with the president. So what was he talking about? And I have one follow-up.
Andrew, with so many issues going on in the world, I'm a little bit surprised you would ask such a question, although I'm not sometimes coming from you, I will say, but I'm willing to give you an answer. Nevertheless, the president's uncle did, in fact, teach at MIT. He was a very intelligent professor. The president's very proud of his family. In fact, the president has a letter from his uncle on the MIT letterhead that sits in the Oval Office dining room. Maybe we'll let you see it sometime.
That's your clarification that the president's uncle did teach at MIT. Nobody contests that he taught at MIT. What's in contention here, what is unclear, is why Donald Trump said that he taught Ted Kaczynski at MIT when Ted Kaczynski did not attend MIT. Which means and the fact that he wasn't even outed as the Unabomber until 10 years after Donald Trump's uncle died. All of it's a lie. Here's the moment, if you haven't seen it, in Pennsylvania, and know when you're listening to Donald Trump that every bit of this is a lie. So when you watch his face and the surety that he displays, he is rock solid. It's like he's just telling a story. The clarity that he's providing, relay that to other lies that he tells, other things that he tells. So when you see him talk and you're like, well, that seems, yeah, he didn't seem like he's lying. He's always lying. Watch this.
And I have to brag just for a second, because when I first heard about AI, it's not my thing. Although my uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever, he was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 3 degrees in nuclear, chemical, and math. That's a smart man. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was? There's very little difference between a madman and a genius. But Kaczynski, I said, what kind of a student was he, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump? He said, what kind of a student? And he said, seriously good. He said he'd go around correcting everybody, but it didn't work out too well for him. Didn't work out too well, but it's interesting in life. But I will say this, that we have the greatest brains, we have the greatest power.
Uncle John, Dr. John Trump, is that how he refers to his uncle? Hey, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump, do you what the blah, blah, blah. Wild. The other thing that came, there was many things that came up that led to her no good, very bad day, or however the title of that children's book goes. The other thing that's been happening is all the questions, all the controversy surrounding the firestorm around Donald Trump wearing makeup on his hands and his giant cankles that he can barely squeeze into socks and shoes that are being talked about online. He was asked about the questions have been all over the place asking about it. And finally, she gave an answer to what is going on with Donald Trump wearing makeup on his hand and his giant elephant-like cankles. Watch this.
On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy to take further questions on it. We will provide the memorandum from the president's physician to all of you, as we always do.
What is with the Republican Party and not being able to shake hands without incurring just horrible injuries? Nancy Mace gets her hand shaken. My arm is broken, y'all. And then Donald Trump, he's so weak. Well, what happened to our mighty alpha male president? He can't even shake a couple hands without getting his little hand bruised. Come on. Those things don't line up. Look, do I think he is ill? Yeah, I don't think he's well. He's 80. He eats fast food quicker than he can. There's no speed at which he can't shovel it into his face. It's not good, right? Of course he's not healthy. But do I think he's ready to drop dead? Well, I don't know. He's sure trying to cover up something, right? Whenever you watch him answer questions in the Oval Office, this is something I've been talking about for months, that he covers his hand. And he doesn't use you know how he gesticulates wildly constant. He's like me. He talks with his hands, right? But not when he's in the Oval Office. One hand is over the other, covering the other at the desk the entire time. Doesn't move. Not normal. They're covering something up. And therein lies the problem. For me, the problem isn't that he has fat cankles or that he wears makeup on his hand. All of that is, I think it comes with age, just like a lot of the Joe Biden's problems came with age. This is what happens when you elect 80-year-old dudes to be president of the United States. The problem for me lies in the cover-up. The problem for me lies in the lack of transparency, because we are owed a full understanding of the Bill of Health of the President of the United States. The most important position in the country, some would say the world. We are owed this. Donald Trump does not have a right to medical privacy. When you choose to take on this job, you forego that. You surrender that. That's no longer, you're not allowed a private citizen anymore. You have a right to privacy in your medical records. I have a right to privacy in my medical records. The President of the United States of America does not. The President of the United States has less of an expectation to medical privacy than a congressperson. Even Congress people have some more ability to say, hey, this is my private business. Yeah, you're right. You're not president. You don't have the nuke codes. David Pakman, I saw this tweet yesterday when I was looking through all this and finding the pictures and going through it. And he said it pretty well. He tweeted this: Trump's ankles are swollen, his hand is bruised and now covered with makeup. That's not normal. Possible causes: congestive heart failure, IVs, blood thinners. Of course, we have no idea, and this is the most important aspect of this, because the most transparent White House ever won't tell us a thing. And that is also a problem here, that this is hypocrisy. They act like they're the most transparent, free with the information. Even journalists act like, thank you so much for taking our questions. Even though all the questions are answered with lies. It's an entirely different video, an entirely different topic. But we are owed information, and they are not being transparent. Even when Donald Trump, during the first term, everybody thought it was a medical emergency because they rushed him to Walter Reed, and he apparently it was like a colonoscopy or something. He's so afraid of his manliness being questioned that he can't even get a colonoscopy. Very weird. I've had, up to this point, maybe 6 colonoscopies after having cancer. And okay, does it make me less manly because I have health care? Make it make sense. Anyway, what do you think? I would appreciate your feedback here. You can comment below. That'll help the algorithm to share this content, this channel, with new possible subscribers, and that could be your way to help me today. You can also call the voicemail line and leave me a fewer than 3-minute voicemail. Google will cut you off if you go over. Don't call back. Just leave one voicemail. Plan out what you're going to say. It'll be great. 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollamore.com.
Oh, they ought to make a song about Karoline Leavitt. You know, I was thinking of that song from Michael Jackson, Beat It. You know, leave it. Why mess with the truth? Just I don't know. Somebody ought to do a song about that, because, you know, this girl, she's a practiced liar at such a young age, okay? Think about that. You know, she's old enough to be my fucking daughter, okay? And she's already got a high capacity to just simply lie in your face with a straight face. I wouldn't want to play poker with this bitch, okay? Because she'd clean house. But to be fair, okay, and I'm the one that always tries to find the middle ground here in things like this. The health issues concerning presidents have always been guarded, no matter who's president, Democrat or Republican. As recent as Joe Biden, okay, Democrats weren't willing to expose everything what was going on with Joe Biden, okay. We only had, you know, the impression that, you know, his problems were, you know, getting worse, but we didn't know exactly what they were, you know. And of course, it's going to be the same with Trump. You know, no matter what we see on his body, you know, problems with his hands or whatever the fuck it is that's wrong with him. Okay, they're never going to give you the whole story. So Trump's problems, like every president we've ever had, they will be closely guarded. So to say that a president doesn't have a right to privacy, well, in theory, maybe, but the thing of it is nobody has any right to know everything about everybody, okay? I don't care who you are. Sometimes, you know, a person needs privacy with their health matters because, you know, if the, you know, think about all the health problems people have in life. Would you want everybody to know what you're, you know, going through, whether you're the president or just your average day idiot? I mean, come on. I mean, think about it. So, to expect that a president is going to come forward and tell everybody what their problem is, that's wishful thinking. Only in a perfect world would that happen, because nobody would have health problems. But that's the way it is. All right. I'm sorry, you know, that just people don't understand that, but I know the press is going to hound because it's a story, and people are talking about it. So I don't know what to say except give people privacy about their health issues. Besides, the health issues about Trump is not the fucking reason we're having issues with this man. Okay? I don't care if he's got cancer or the crotch or whatever the fuck whatever the hell's going on with him. What's my issue with him is how he's running this country. Okay? And I don't like what he's doing in that regard. And that's the only reason I don't like him. Okay? His crimes and all that he hasn't answered for, that's another issue here, okay? But how he's running America into the ground is an issue with me, and that's really the only thing that concerns me. His health problems are his own problems, okay? That comes from him eating McDonald's and junk food all his life, okay? But that's his issue, all right? If he wasn't president, I don't think anybody would care. But the thing of it is that because he's president and he's been doing such a shitty job as president these last 6.5 months, he's got a lot of hatred out there for him, and you know the press is going to feed that, you know, more hatred to give us reason to say, you know, he needs to step down. Well, I don't need any more reason to ask for him to leave the White House than what he's already given us in the last 6 months. All right, he's done terrible work here as a president, and while he and his minions out there in the administration are going around lying to our faces and telling us everything is fine and Trump's doing a great job, we know different, don't we? We know different because we are the ones on the ground. We are the boots on the ground that sees what's going on in this country. And Trump, in his home or wherever in Washington, D.C., it doesn't matter to him because his boots ain't on the ground, okay? He doesn't care. He doesn't fucking care. And so the fact that he's got Karoline out there lying for him, that's nothing new, okay? Press secretaries come and go. You know, people are going to take so much of her lip and then they'll have to find somebody else. But really, you're not going to get anything out of her. Why the press ask her questions and expect an honest answer, I don't know. I don't think anybody should go to these press conferences to ask her a goddamn thing, because everything she says is going to be regurgitated because Trump told her to answer this way. Okay, so you're not going to get the truth no matter who's answering the question in that administration. So the press, whenever they say, oh, we want to do it, say, nah, maybe not. I'm not today. We ain't in the mood to hear any more bullshit. Okay? I mean, if the press is going to just not do their job anyway, okay, by telling us what's really going on, then why bother? Why bother going to the press conferences? Why bother listening to Trump and airing his speeches? Just say no. You got Fox News, go to them. Have Fox News tell us what you want them to tell you, okay? Just don't bother us. Don't bother ABC, CBS, CNN. Don't leave all of us alone, okay? You got your state-controlled media, Fox News, to tell all your propaganda, okay? So leave us the hell out of it, you know? And, you know, because he calls them all fake news anyway, so he doesn't care about them. So why should they care about Trump? He shits on them every chance he gets. So why put yourself in the fucking crosshairs all the time when he wants a press conference? You know? There's a lot of other things going on in the world today that you can get better news from than anything that Trump tells you, okay? Because I think it's become pretty automatic now that whenever Trump opens his mouth, a lie falls out of it, okay? We're never ever going to have to expect to hear anything truthful from him. Even if he's got his hand on the good book and he's under oath, he's still going to lie. So forget it, people. Stop asking him questions. Stop asking Karoline Leavitt questions. Stop asking anybody that works for him questions, because they're all going to lie. Every goddamn one of them. All right? Just get it into your head. I don't even want to hear his State of the Union speeches. I don't want to hear anything that he has to say about any issue that's going on in the world that he thinks requires I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. He does not deserve our attention. He doesn't like us. Why should we like him? Okay? And the only facts, really, that should be of concern to us are the crimes he's committing. Now, we know we're not going to get any truth about these crimes from him or anybody that's with him in that administration. So it's up to the investigative journalists out there to dig up the truth. Okay? And I think that's the way we're going to have to treat this administration, is we're going to have to be covert in getting answers the hard way, instead of getting it from the horse's mouth, because the horse is poison. Okay? The horse is poisoned, and so we're going to have to get evidence to do these stories about him from witnesses, people speaking in anonymity. You know, we're going to have to get it that way. And because if it pisses Trump off, you know we're on the right track. Okay, you know we're on the right track. If he's threatening to sue your company, you know we're on the right track. And you know, these companies, these media companies really should stand together here, okay, instead of standing separate. If you give a shit about your First Amendment, okay, you all would be standing together here. If he sues one, he's going to have to sue them all right? And that's why I say this is important. It's important for, you know, for the respect for a free press in this country to exist. If these people really respect having their right to be able to do their job, you know. As far as Fox News goes, they really don't care about the First Amendment because they make up things. All right, they make up stuff. They don't feel like they're inclined to tell the truth. Okay, they think that telling the lie is the same thing. They say, "Whoa, we're not news, we're entertainment." That's what we are. We tell people what they want to hear. You know, it's not fair and balanced. It's just we're giving them propaganda because we know what group of people's watching us, so we're gonna cater to them. That way we can keep a hold of viewership, you know. So they're gonna just tell them that shit, the lie, you know, and they swallow it. And that's what they've been doing for all these years. And now Trump's gonna sue Rupert Murdoch, who runs that fucking outfit. I'd say good. Let them claw at each other here, you know. It's putting Fox News on a very uncomfortable spot. That, you know, the person that every night they're on there talking, defending, the person they're defending is also the person attacking them now. So I mean, it's like I said, anybody who gets in bed with that man eventually gets burned. Okay, am I not right about that? You know. It's true. That's the one thing people should know about him, is you're never, ever, ever going to be safe and secure in his good graces, because it does run out. This guy will lie and swear to his lie like it's the truth, you know, and if he has to throw you under the bus in order to make that lie stand out more truthful looking, he'll do it. So this is what we have here as a, you know, as a president. I want to read this here from Daily Dose, and it starts off, Donald Trump is having one of his worst weeks ever. And talking about this past week here. This is from the New Republic. Michael Tomasky wrote it. So this is the thing about stories like the Jeffrey Epstein saga. There's always new stuff waiting to come out. That's true. The explosive story that the Wall Street Journal dropped Thursday evening about Donald Trump's alleged note to Epstein in a quote-unquote birthday book, compiled for the child molester in 2003 by Ghislaine Maxwell, was bound to come out. And if other things out there about Trump's history with Epstein, as there almost certainly are, they're bound to become public someday too. That's the first reason Trump needs to be worried. Even if his name does not appear on some master list created by Epstein with a heading like, "Good friends of mine who raped underage girls with me," it still has to be the case that there are emails, photographs, and other material that at the very least wouldn't look good. And here's the second and more interesting reason. These cracks in the MAGA coalition right now are only that, cracks. But time may prove this week to have been a pivotal, even decisive moment in MAGA's history. On Monday, several voices in MAGA, Charlie Kirk, Laura Ingraham, Megyn Kelly, were outraged over the administration declaring the Epstein matter closed. On Tuesday, a lot of those same voices said, "Okay, nothing to see here, time to move on." Then on Wednesday, they pivoted back to outrage, suggesting that on this one matter, social media marching orders from Dear Leader could not staunch the blood flow. And Thursday night, the Journal story broke. Now, as I said, we can't make any conclusions just yet, but this is the week the pixie dust didn't work. Maybe it's a one-time thing. On the other hand, maybe not. So, and here's another one here. Let's see, from The Nation, Jet here. Jeffrey Epstein's victims are again being wronged by Donald Trump's circus. The contours of the ongoing Jeffrey Epstein scandal are defined by two suicides, one famous and one relatively obscure, but the true moral heart of the controversy, Epstein's apparent suicide in prison in 2019, is, of course, a major reason his scandalous life continues to be the subject of hot political debate. But Epstein's death is ultimately a forensic matter, one of settling the factual question of murder or suicide. Much more morally troubling was an event that received far less press attention, the suicide earlier this year of Virginia Giuffre at age 41. In 2000, when she was 17 years old and working as a spa attendant at Mar-a-Lago, which is Trump's resort, Giuffre was recruited and groomed by Ghislaine Maxwell to be part of Epstein's sexual entourage. Epstein and Maxwell recruited not just Giuffre, but countless other children and young teens. Giuffre was a central figure in the criminal case against Epstein in 2008, which ended with a sweetheart non-prosecution agreement. The 2009 victims' suit that kept the case alive, and the second criminal case against Epstein in 2019. Giuffre also accused Prince Andrew of the United Kingdom of abusing her, which ended in the prince paying a settlement, although Andrew continues to deny those charges. One striking aspect of the Epstein case is that the most important people, victims such as Giuffre, are the most quickly forgotten. Even as the case now dominates political discourse, the focus has been not on the crimes committed, but the much more trivial matter of the partisan political fallout and the various strategies politicians are adopting to exploit the controversy. On Tuesday, California Representative Ted Lieu told reporters, quote, "This is the case of the powerful protecting the powerful," unquote. This gets to the heart of the political controversy. Beyond partisan wrangling, the Epstein case is about whether the ultra-wealthy enjoy absolute impunity or whether they can be held accountable by the law. Virginia Giuffre, in her short life, never received the justice she deserved. The only way to honor her memory is to push for accountability and transparency in the Epstein case. And you see, that's the one thing we haven't been ever getting since day one with Trump, is that they're not being transparent. Okay? They're not telling us a fucking thing that we need to know about anything. Okay? Regardless of the health problems that he's suffering, which is really unimportant to us, he's not being transparent about a thing. Instead, what we're getting is smoke and mirrors all the fucking time. Smoke and mirrors. All right? Don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Okay? That's what we're getting from the White House. Okay? And this son of a bitch ran last year on the idea that, oh, we're going to be a transparent administration. Of course he was saying that. That's what we wanted to hear. Okay? But those of us who knew this guy understood that was lies. He wasn't going to be transparent. He wasn't even being transparent about the crimes he had committed while he was going to court last year. Okay? He wouldn't even fucking come clean about any of that. So if he couldn't be transparent about his personal life, why do you think he's going to be transparent about his job as president? Okay? It's not going to happen. The guy is a liar. He's going to lie, and he doesn't have a problem with it. So I just you know, it's kind of laughable that, you know, everybody's demanding transparency from an administration that just simply does not believe in it. You know. You know what? I'm going to save this one here for after the commercial break here. So let's go to that, and then we'll come back and I'll read this other one here.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me. This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Smishing and a splashing over the horizon, what can it be? The pilgrims sailed the sea to find a place to call their own. In their ship Mayflower, they hoped to find a better home. They finally knocked on Plymouth Rock, and someone said, "We're there." It may not look like home, but at this point I don't care. Oh, they were missing Mother England. They swore their loyalty until the very end. Anything you say, King, it's okay, King. You know it's kind of scary on your own. Gonna build a new land the way we planned. Could you help us run it till it's grown? They planted corn, you know. They built their houses one by one. And bit by bit they worked until the colonies were done. They looked around, yeah, up and down, and someone said, "Hooray! If the king could only see us now, he would be proud of us today." They knew that now they'd run their own land. But George III still vowed he'd rule them to the end. Anything I say, do it my way now. Anything I say, do it my way. Don't you get to feeling independent, 'cause I'm gonna force you to obey. He taxed their property, he didn't give them any choice. And back in England, he didn't give them any voice. That's called taxation without representation, and it's not fair. But when the colonies complained, the king said, "I don't care." He even has the nerve to tax our cup of tea. To put it kindly, King, we really don't agree. Gonna show you how we feel. We're gonna dump this tea and turn this harbor into the biggest cup of tea in history. They wanted no more Mother England. They knew the time had come for them to take command. It's very clear you're being unfair, King. No matter what you say, we won't obey. Gonna hold a revolution now, King, and we're gonna run it all away with no more king.
We're gonna elect a president.
No more king.
He's gonna do what the people want.
No more king.
We're gonna run things our way.
No more king. Nobody's gonna tell us what to do. Rocking and a rolling, swishing and a splashing over the horizon. What can it be? Looks like it's going to be a free country.
Between the couple girl, but I'm a few person of your love. So I will leave you when you said you have lost. You think the man
How to use a pump to get bigger. Hi, I'm Clarissa from Our Doctor, and we're talking about pumps and the benefits of using male enlargement and enhancement vacuum pumps. The male enhancement pump is a very easy to use and effective medical grade device to help men achieve a fuller erection and reduce premature ejaculation. This digital and waterproof device can be issued without a doctor's prescription. How do you use one? It's quite easy. Simply insert your penis shaft into the pump tube, power it up, then choose your desired setting. You may feel a suction, which is a good thing. This is drawing blood into the penis vessels. This causes a swelling effect to give you temporary, more significant, and more complex erection results for up to 24 hours. Permanent results can be achieved with regular daily sessions just by using this pump. If you suffer from erectile dysfunction or are looking to increase your size, this pump is proven to work. Due to genetic or hormonal factors, men born with micropenis or a tiny penis should also consider this product. The reason why is because you have additional skin growth around your penis and it's buried. This condition is not uncommon. However, using a pump like this one or having an outpatient procedure done can resolve this issue. From the men who have used the pump, they'll say it's given them a quarter to a full inch in length after using it for about 5 to 10 minutes before their sexual encounter. Some men like to take either sildenafil or tadalafil in conjunction with this pump, so they can achieve even longer lasting results. If you have any questions about our products or services, you can check us out on our website or call us, and we have doctors and specialists that can answer any of your questions. Thanks for watching. Please like, follow, and subscribe, and post any questions you may have in the comments below. See you next time.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back everybody. All right, so I had this other one I wanted to read here, and it's funny that I found this article because I had said something of the same thing that Zoran Mondani had said here in this article. So let me read this to you here and see if you can spot what he's saying that I had said days ago. Zoran Mamdani is right. We shouldn't have billionaires. Christopher Marquis from Jacobin. When Zoran Mamdani declared on Meet the Press that we shouldn't have billionaires, the backlash was swift. Wealthy elites and their defenders rushed to paint billionaires as indispensable benefactors. Defenders of extreme wealth love to argue that billionaire success benefits everyone. A recent Financial Times article, for instance, argues that billionaires make the rest of us richer, not poorer, claiming that the economy isn't zero-sum, and pointing to figures like Jeff Bezos as proof. With this $240 billion fortune, they argue he hasn't taken anything from the rest of us. He's made our lives better. Amazon's convenience, low prices, and fast shipping are held up as examples of how one man's riches supposedly translate into shared prosperity. We're told to thank Bezos, not question him. This is just trickle-down economics in new packaging. The idea that billionaire wealth is the, quote, rising tide that lifts all boats, unquote, is a rerun of the Reagan-era theory that slashing taxes and regulation for the rich would spark investment and raise living standards across the board. 40 years later, the evidence is in. Billionaire wealth has soared, wages have stagnated, inequality has exploded, and upward mobility has collapsed. Mainstream institutions like the International Monetary Fund and organizations for economic cooperation and development now admit that the trickle-down model does not work. When wealth pools at the top, it doesn't trickle down, it consolidates power. In 2024 alone, the top 1% of the United States became more than $6 trillion richer, while the entire bottom half of the country has just $4 trillion of collective assets. Only 2.5% of the nation's total. The issue is that billionaires don't participate innocently in the economy. They rewrite the rules to benefit themselves. Elon Musk, for instance, owes his rise to billions in public subsidies. Yet after becoming the richest man on earth, he became an ardent crusader against government oversight, labor protections, and democratic accountability. Like that of Bezos, Musk's trajectory shows how vast wealth begets vast power to shape laws, markets, and narratives that serve the ultra-rich at the expense of everyone else. Another common defense of extreme wealth is that billionaires are essential for innovation, that without the lure of limitless riches, no one would take the risks or make the breakthroughs that move society forward. But this idea doesn't stand up to historical scrutiny. Perhaps the most prolific period of American innovation, from the birth of modern computing to the Apollo program, unfolded at a time when the top tax rate averaged 81%. Far from dampening ambition, high taxation prevented hoarding and channeled surplus wealth into public goods and scientific progress. The biggest breakthroughs of the past century, like the internet, GPS, and mRNA vaccines, weren't driven by billionaire visionaries. They came from government-funded research, university labs, and publicly backed infrastructure. Gates, Musk, and Bezos didn't create these technologies from scratch. They commercialized them after decades of public investment had laid the foundation. Abolishing billionaires is not about envy of their wealth, as some claim. It's about rebalancing power. As Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis famously said, quote, "We may have democracy, or we may have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, but we can't have both," unquote. We must stop treating billionaires as saviors and start seeing them for what they are, products of broken systems, symbols of a moral failure to distribute opportunity, and agents of oligarchic capture. Donnie's comment was a glimpse of a saner future. We should heed it. I totally agree with that assessment. I really think that, over the years, as the top got richer, I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm going to be 54 years old. I've seen this happen. It seems like the richer the top gets, the more difficult it becomes for the people at the bottom. Okay? They bitch, oh, homelessness is out of control, and we gotta, we don't want to see these people. All these things happen for a fucking reason. It's not that they just happen at a whim. It's because opportunities are taken away from people. Stability is taken away from people. And you look at the root cause of a lot of that, and it's people with money exercising their power to hang on to the money they have. That means a lot of times it means cutting us off at the knees in order for them to keep it. Trickle-down economics only works when the people at the top are willing to invest. They're willing to spend money in this country. When was the last time any of these people ever did that? Okay, like they said, the rich people don't create these great innovations. Okay, it's people at the bottom that do. Okay, it's the people who get help from the public in order to create things, and then the people at the top will market that and capitalize on it, on other people's creations. That's the way it's always worked in this country. They don't get there. They make their money off the capitalization of somebody else's idea, but they don't create these things. All right, so the rich will often use that as a means to defend themselves against the criticism that they receive every day from people all over the country, and why we despise how they treat us. Like the healthcare issue. Jesus Christ! I mean, talk about the rich taking advantage of the poor. They only want money coming one way, and that's it. But they're not willing to fucking. Look, they clapped and applauded when when they passed that fucking bill there that to slash spending on all these programs that people need. Okay, that was the rich that wanted that. Does that look like trickle-down economics to you? No, it's not. In fact, it's, you know, they're just finding more ways to take out of our pockets and give nothing in return. That's the very thing that people in MAGA are always bitching about. The government is just taking too much away from us. And they voted for a guy who went right along with it. You know, you know, okay, you know, it's just fuck around and find out, right? So the thing is that we're not expected to ever see anything change as far as billionaires go in this country. But what we'd like to do is get them to pay more of their share to living in this country. If they want to be billionaires in America, then God damn it, contribute to the fucking system that you created in this country, the capitalist system. All right? You play by the fucking rules. You pay your fucking taxes. Stop trying to wiggle your way out of them. Stop trying to get the government to cut your fucking taxes. You can afford them. If you would just control your goddamn spending, I think the tax problem wouldn't even be that big of an issue to you. But I think because some of you people out there that are billionaires, you spend your money frivolously on things that no other person would ever really need. It's not a thing you need to have 10 houses and yachts and airplanes and, you know what I'm saying? Nobody needs that, okay? Nobody fucking needs that. All right, so that's just bullshit spending. You could do away with half of those things and your expenses would go down and you'd probably find it easier to live and you wouldn't suffer. You wouldn't fucking suffer. You would be living just as good as a human being has any right to. All right? But, you know, it's an age-old problem in this world, greed, isn't it? You can look back in history as far as you can that's been recorded by human hand, and you're going to find that problem existed way back then too. Okay? There's always the people at the top who are always taking and taking and taking. You know, taken from people who are given everything they got, and they live in palaces and surrounded with gold and everything, and they ain't giving nothing back. They ain't investing in those people. No, they're going to sit in their fucking palace, and that's it. That's what they want. And what do they do with their free time? You know, molest young girls, I guess. I don't know. They get away with it because they own the fucking police, and they own this, and they, you know, so they're untouchable. And that's what they want to live, like devils, rich devils, you know. And that's why, you know, I think a lot of us, I don't know why it ever became this thing, but I think too many of us in America thought that, oh, we ought to be like that. Really? You're not looking at the same picture I'm looking at. You know, take a look at some of the big crime bosses we ever had in this country. Wealthy, committing all kinds of crime. Killing people, you know. I don't think that's such a great picture. I don't know why everybody else does. You know, they make TV shows on people that have lots of money and they're up to no good with it, and people seem to think that's a great thing, you know. And Trump certainly makes it look that it's such a good thing, you know. It's you know, we romanticize that, but it's not fun. It's not fun to have all that fucking money and then just destroy your soul from within with it. Okay, you'd be surprised how many of these wealthy people die unhappy. Money did not buy them happiness. Okay, they fed their greed. They spoiled themselves rotten with things, and they're still miserable. Do you think Trump is a happy man because of what he is or how much money he's got? No. He's no happier than me, or maybe I'm happier than him. I don't know. But he's not happy at all. He doesn't look like a man that's really happy with his life. And yet he's got all that money. And look what he had to do to get it. And that's a life lesson I wish we would just look at closely and say, you know what? It's true. Money doesn't buy everything. Okay, yeah, you could buy stuff with that, but you know what? Every new thing gets old very quick, you know. And when we get in the habit of spoiling ourselves the way often parents spoil their kids growing up. Okay, when we do that to ourselves, it's so different. You know, we are the parents spoiling our inner greed. After a while, you ruin yourself. You know. So. These people who some of us admire, I certainly don't, but some of these people that we admire here that think that oh my God, without billionaires this country would be nothing. Bullshit. When we came into this country, we were all poor. We made the country what it is. We fought for it. You know, billionaires didn't do it. Okay? You know, we built the goddamn factories. We built the fucking industries, okay, and the wealthy came along and, you know, bought them up, and we started working for them. Well, they were making money off of us, and other people making money off them, okay. You know, it's just, it never started with one at the top. It always started at the bottom. Everything that came from this country began at the grassroots level. And when you kill the grassroots of this country, what I mean is when you kill the middle class and you start destroying the life of the poor, the people at the top are just stagnant. They don't do nothing with their money. Okay, they don't do anything with it. So what do you think is going to, you know, for all you people out there that want to see some innovation and green energy and stuff like that, do you think those people at the top are going to spend a dime on any of that? No, that's never going to happen. They're taking away from those people who could make that a reality in this country. Taking all the power, the money away from them just so they can sit at the top and leave things as they are. Okay? And like I said, you know, okay, the oil companies, right? I mean, they're never going to yield on that. We'll be the only country on the planet still using oil while everybody else is on something else. Okay? We're going to be the only polluting country on the planet in days to come, while everybody else is, you know, looking at us saying, you know, you people need to do something about your fucking air, you know, you're polluting, you know. We're going to be the pariahs of the world here. That's where we're headed, because too many wealthy people in this country are in this country just for the money and taking all the money away from everybody under them. And it ain't enough that they're doing that. You know, they want to influence other countries and take their money and their wealth. All right, so, you know, we got a problem here. And what we have is we have too many wealthy people at the top controlling all the scales. They got their hands on all the scales in this country. And Bernie Sanders warned us about that. He said, you know, once the oligarchs get in control of things, it's going to be very hard to get them out of control of it, okay, to push them out. Because they have power, they can influence others with it. You know, it's a road really that because we are so how can I say it, susceptible to this kind of corruption, it's a road we're not going to be able to turn away from without a fight. Essentially, it's going to have to come at a great cost before we decide that oligarchs are not good for this country and that we need to steer away from them, because they're killing us. You know, they're slowly cranking up the heat under the pot in which we're boiling in, and they don't care. They don't fucking care. You know, we let these fucking people donate money to politicians. That should stop. Okay, that should fucking stop, because their money influences. And when you got people that are in Washington only to get that money, okay, those people are no good. We're all going to have to start really vetting our goddamn politicians from now on, because of the fact that we have so much damn money flowing through the fucking halls of Washington. We really need to find out who's donating to them, okay? When we stop voting for people who are running on other companies' money, okay, maybe we might end up with better politicians, okay, who can do the job that we could never get done by these other folks with all the money. Now that would piss off corporations to no end, that they all of a sudden their money means shit now. That, you know, if you donate, I'm not taking it. You know, get the hell out of here. Take your briefcase and shove it up your ass. I don't want to see you around here. When people start doing that, closing the door to these fucking companies, then they got no more influence in government. They're going to panic. Okay? That's what we want. If you want to get back at politicians, if you want to get back at goddamn big business in this country, for all the years of hardship they put on the middle and the labor, and, hey, that's where you begin. You find people who simply won't take the fucking money. Okay? That's what you do. You say, your money doesn't mean anything here, okay? We don't want it. I don't want to see it. Okay? Get out of here. People, you're going to have to get people that have a moral core who will say no to these people. And stop letting our politicians take their money. When we find out they do, vote them out. That's what you got to do. You know? And until we come to that understanding in this country, I don't think things are ever going to get better. I don't care if we get Trump out of office or not. It's still not going to get any better. You know, one rotten apple is just as bad as another rotten apple. I mean, okay. But yeah, we got a lot of fixing to do in this country here, and it has to start at some point, because we can't go on as America with this broken government we have here, because it's been severely damaged over the decades by wealthy people trying to exert their personal influence and what they want, okay, at the expense of the rest of us. And why should one person's needs be more important than millions? You know, doesn't make any sense, does it? All right, well, that's it for us today, and I hope everybody has a great work week. So please subscribe, comment, and share, and keep your ears open for health-related issues, and be nice to your neighbors, and try to be there for others when they need help. So I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.